Hi Taurus, welcome to your horoscope. Today we're going to talk about an aspect that is going to play out throughout 2021. So this video is valid for the full year. You can keep coming back to it because there's Saturn square Uranus, the aspect that we're going to go deeper into, as well as the whole concentration on your career house through the course of 2021, which will be the focal point of your mission for this year. We'll talk about that as well as how to balance that out a little bit because it's going to be pretty much a very concentrated attention to that house right now. For example, if you're seeing this in February, you have 6 planets focused in your house of career. We just had a new moon on 11th of February in your house of career, a new start. We have right now Mercury, the planet of thinking, our mind going retrograde, going back and forth in discussions over your career direction. So there's a lot of concentrated focus, and when we have so many planets as we do right now in one house, that sort of becomes our focal point of attention, almost an obsession to some extent, and it sort of becomes a mission. It becomes a mission like you want to do something bigger than what you have ever done before in your career, and that is huge amount of driver for what you're going to do throughout 2021. We're going to have Saturn, Uranus, the two external planets clashing with each other 3 times during the course of 2021. They'll do the first clash on 17th of February, then the second one in middle of June, and then the last one on 24th of December, when typically the final results of that comes out, like a new direction in career comes out. Though some amount of new start, new beginning, new shifts might already be coming through in the month of February. In fact, over the course of next 2 weeks for some of you, especially around if you have planets around 23, 24 degree of Taurus, which is around, if you're a Taurus sun, born around 13th of May, a few days before or after even of 13th of May, you'll start experiencing that even over the course of next 2 weeks itself. But if you are a last week of April or the first week of May born, you'll find that that process will take a bit of back and forth throughout the course of 2021. And even for all of you, it will take a little bit of process to finalize the direction that you want to go into. Saturn is right now in your house of career, and it will stay there till about March of 2023. It's a 2.5 year of cycle when Saturn, the planet of structure, comes on the focal point on the top of our chart, and that happens once in 29 years. And that becomes sort of the time to reach a peak in your career. It becomes a time to sort of define your place in the world, how you're seen to the world, and what career and your life direction means to you. It becomes a time to be recognized for the work you have done. It becomes a time of accomplishment, defining one's place in the social structure. So it's a very, very important year for you. This process will continue for 2 years. As I said, Saturn transit is for 2.5 years. We've already done 6 months of it, all the way till early 2023. This will play out for you. But this year, 2021, is pivotal in the shift from a traditional direction in career, because Saturn, the planet of structure, is meeting Uranus, the planet of revolution, in your sign. And when Uranus comes in a sign, as a zodiac, as a person, as an external identity, we shift, we completely change who we are. In fact, this process of changing who you are will continue all the way till 2026, because Uranus is in your sign all the way till 2026. So the way you show up to the world, your external identity, the way you present yourself, the way you speak, the way you appear, the way you style yourself, the way you express yourself, your expression of life, the whole expression of your life will change over the course of this year. In fact, if you are a early Taurus, which means that if you have planets in the first 10 degrees of Taurus, the first decan of Taurus, 0 to 10 degrees, you would already be experiencing changes manifesting with quite a big punch at this point in time. So if you're a Taurus sun born around 27th of April, for example, you might already be experiencing this radical need to be a different person, doing your own thing, being your own boss, It's like a vibration in your soul to completely get rid of anything that is not truthful to you anymore. Defining a path where there is no path, because you want to do something which is original, which is inventive. You have new insights about life. It's very exciting transit to have Uranus in your sign. And Saturn, the planet of structure, meeting Uranus means that you'll give structure to these ideas, to these zany ideas, ahead of the time ideas. You'll feel very wired up because you want to do something which is inventive and different, and you want to be original. You don't want to have anything that is fake in your life anymore, whether it is your personal relationships or you yourself. There's a radical confidence that is created in our persona because you want to be something else now, and it helps you break through. And this aspect, which is harsh in nature, of Saturn squaring Uranus, helps you break through. It helps you break through an old structure of life which is broken, to be free, to be independent, to be your own person. There's tremendous tension that this aspect packs, and you might already be feeling that push and pull of old versus new that is playing out in your life. And this tremendous tension, it becomes a source of endless creativity right now, of doing something that hasn't been done before. And Saturn sort of forces us to harness this inner tension into a passion, into a purpose that permits you to participate in a larger expression, helps you do something larger than life than you have ever done before, helps you reach a peak in your career, define a completely new path for yourself. And there would be some push and pull that you might be experiencing, especially if you're seeing this in February. We have Mercury, the planet of communication, right now going back and forth in your house of career. So there will be probably some tussles and some push and pull that are happening with authority figures and business connections right now. You might be clearing up confusion around your career. You might be having a discussion about a shift in your status, shift in your career. You might be revamping your outer image. You might be looking for, a completely different line for you to pursue. This is the house of graduation, so as to speak, when we sort of move from college to real life. And so all this expansion that you've been on over the course of last 2.5 years, now it's time to sort of play it out in real life. So you would want to do a work project which is completely ahead of the time. You might decide to leave your old job and reorient and redefine your path and go for a completely different status, completely different job. You might have some even back and forths happening with bosses and authorities as you want to do something which you haven't done before, and you want to be bigger, and maybe the current situation isn't letting you be bigger. So you would make new business connections. You would look at being larger in terms of your reach, in terms of your self promotion right now. Your career image and title, it will be a mission for this year. And the career path will be in big focus. This is a very, very pivotal and important year for you when both these planets are focused on your critical axis. Uranus is giving you radical confidence in becoming the person that you want to become, and Saturn is going to help you give the structure to become that. And if any of you are old enough, this last happened when Saturn was here in 1991 to 1993. If any of you are old enough to know that period, when a shift like that happened, maybe you were in education at that time and you shifted lines in education, you would experience a similar one right now, except right now the square is also happening. So Uranus has never been in your sign for last 84 years, so it's a very rare transit to live through. Very few people, very few zodiacs, they actually experience having Uranus, the planet of radical change, in their own sign. Nicholas Tesla had that by birth. He had Uranus in his first house in Taurus, and he created something completely different. It's the time to create something unconventional, and he was not even in creation of that, he was not conventional. So you would find that your insightful ideas or ahead of time things that you're trying to do, they haven't yet got the acceptance. So when you're discussing that right now, I spoke about it in the introductory video of February. If you haven't watched it, you might want to see it as an overview of what's happening right now. You might feel that at this point in time, putting your ideas to test to external world may not be the best thing to do, because you sort of are still figuring it all out, and they are still ahead of time. People may not be ready for that, but it's a good time to sort of pace it out, find out what you want to do, maybe put in the resumes, maybe put in the research, maybe put in the background work required to sort of do something self promotion aimed kind of a thing around a new radical idea that you have, or a career image title change that you're looking for. And Taurus, you have Aquarius in your house of career. Aquarius is known for sudden rise, sudden shift. It's like suddenly things can change in a moment in your career from nothing happening for a long time. And this could be a year when that happens. There is a high possibility with these two planets together that you might completely decide to shift to a completely different line from where you have been. And with hard work, with persistence, with keeping to it, not losing faith in that path, treating it like your mission, making sure that it serves some ideal of yours, make sure that it sort of inspires you and it inspires the people that you work with. When you're doing something that you're really passionate about, it fires you up, and you can get the people at your work inspired to do what you want to do. So you will be in some sort of a social leadership role here, where you're bringing people together, passionately bringing them to do something innovative, something that requires you to be exposed to a large set of people, even grow in fame and popularity, in sort of, being in front of a large audience to some extent. And you might have already been exposing yourself to that kind of a platform, because Saturn has been here for some time now. And last year we spoke about it. Between February to May, we had a little bit of a preview of this already. So some of you might have already been doing that. But as I said, it's the time now to put in the concrete bricks around it, put the concrete structure around it. Make sure that it serves you in long run. Make sure that it is something that you want to carry on in longer term, and create the right structure around it. There'll be a lot of focus on your outer life right now, so there will be need to balance it out. As I spoke in the introduction of the video, that while this is all going on, you have stellium right now, especially if you're watching it in February in your house of career. There's a need to balance it out. Otherwise, it can really sap your energy. Stelliums are great to get you focused on a mission, but they can completely dry your life out over there. There could be even problems with professional choices, or with bosses, or you might need to live up or live down one of your dominant parent. There might be a back and forth going on with the parent, or just how one parent has influenced your life so far, and what kind of a parent it has made you. What is your parenting style? And you might be rethinking a lot of that, and this can be pretty heavy on your physical body at this point in time. So there's a need to balance it out on the other end by sort of finding a place of comfort, finding a place of home. Taurus, the opposite side of your career is your home, is your family. And Taurus are very proud of their family. They're proud of the house they live in. That brings them comfort, it brings them pride, it brings them, satisfaction and joy to some extent. So you need to find a respite on the other side. Need to be either with the family, or the family that you can relate to, or be on a hill, or on some comfortable neighborhood, or a bright property that you might have, which can bring you some amount of comfort in your senses, because this can be stressful. This can be a little bit too much of a vibration, because Uranus is like a shock to some extent to our persona, so it can be a little bit stressful and tense and vibrating through your body. You need a balancing act on the other side. It could be a parent who's nurturing, for example, when you're dealing with a dominant person, or a dominant parent, or a dominant boss, or a professional choice which is difficult to make. A nurturing parent, a mother touch, eating home food, staying in the house, entertaining at home, having an entertainment or pool or a bar at home or something, which brings you happiness, brings your fun side out, brings the child within you out, brings the happiness in you out. So it's balanced out to some extent while you deal with it, because Saturn is dominant here, and Saturn squaring you can make it stressful for the body. It can feel tiring in the body. It sort of structures us, but at the same time, Saturn squaring us throughout the time is like driving with brakes on. If it's somebody telling you continuously that you got to be careful, you got to do this, and a radical decision need to have a lot of, focus on long-term implications of your decisions. So that plays out on the other side, but you're defining your place in the world for a longer term. This is something that is going to define your success for the next 20 plus years. So it's something important that you're doing. You're confronting a very old structure of your own emotions and your own ego and your own sense of self here. As Uranus and Saturn clash with each other, you would be having an internal fight with who you are or you were as a person. It's almost like you're breaking out of your own mold when you do that, and getting out of your own way to some extent, if I may say, because you might find some self-defeating patterns in your own ego, in your own self, in the way you balance your responsibility and your individuality that you might be struggling with at this point. It's a harsh aspect. It's a last square focused on your sign, so it can feel like a push and pull between your sense of responsibility and your need to be your own person, your individuality. And done right, done with the right steps, it will toughen you up. You will discover your intuition of the right balance between the two. You will deal with major changes by even detaching a little bit from it. Having Aquarius in your house of career requires you to be objective about your external persona and not attach too much emotions with how or what people think about you when you're trying to do what you truly want to do. And let your creativity, let your individuality show out when you are presenting yourself as a leader. Bring, Taurus as a leader doesn't necessarily have to be me first when he goes out. So as a leader, if you're making use of your network, hiring the right people, bringing them together, or you're trying to make sure that everybody is treated fairly at work, this is a different way of doing things as compared to what many others might be doing in their professional life. Many others might be shining, might want to be the only person who's seen as doing everything and anything, or they might be doing something which is traditionally very popular to do, and you're doing something different, something related to a unique idea, related to stock market, related to finances, related to creativity, related to new technology, ahead of time technology to some extent. And while doing that, you'll have to create a balance between this ego self that we all have versus need to do your own thing. Do what you think is your path. Do what you think is your mission. And in that, you'll break free from the old limited mindset of an old tribe that you might have belonged to and discover a new dimension of you. You'll receive new flashes of insights into who you can become. This is a step up for you. This is not going back to the old ways. So the areas that you would be exploring, even the body changes that you might be exploring, they're going to be different from what you have been before. This is redefining your zodiac altogether. Uranus in your sign can feel very wired, like you're trying to not adhere to your own conventions to some extent. You're cutting through what's not real, what seemed essential earlier, but now it seems that no, this I don't need this anymore. I don't need this possession anymore. I don't need to be necessarily have a title to do what I truly want to do. I don't necessarily need to be part of a corporate culture to grow to be who I want to be. So you'll be rediscovering how you want to present yourself as a leader in your life. You would be asking for your fair share, and you would be setting some realistic long-term career plans here. What takes you further in life? What gives you the sense of having a mission? And Jupiter is here. There's need for faith in your own ability to create your career here. When we have wherever we have Jupiter that year, this whole year Jupiter is in your house of career. It's a very positive transit to have. It transforms your social status. Efforts are rewarded, but you have to rely on faith. You have to rely on experience. You have to make sure that you don't scatter yourself in multiple engagements and multiple careers and multiple jobs. You have to focus yourself. You have to go structured. You have to make sure that the patterns of self sabotage, and they will come out during this first transit itself. You'll find that are there any ways in which you have been sabotaging your own forward progress in some ways. You'll discover some of that. And you'll find that there's this perfect balance between wanting to have a stable life versus this restlessness you're feeling within you. There's a perfect balance to strike between that, and it's not easy. That's why we have 3 goes at it. We have the first go right now in February, second go in June, third go in December, which is the final one. So over this year, this whole finding the middle path will happen as we progress during the course of this year. But this is a very, very dominant and a life-changing cycle for you, especially the first week of May and the last week of April born, or planets between 7 degree to 13 degree would experience the Saturn square Uranus this year itself. So this push and pull would be very, very dominant with you. And for people who have planets around 23 degree of Taurus, which is in the 20s, so around 13th of May born, you might already be in the process of launching something new, a new job, a new career, deciding a new, position, or a new business or a new title that you want to take on. And that might be happening right now. And as I said, you need to balance that out with having some stable roots for you to hold when it gets too much on the other side. Because this year it can feel that it will get too much on the career side. The focus, a lot of energy, a lot of focus, a lot of your attention will go into your outer life. So you need to balance it out by grounding exercise, walking on the floor, walking in the grass, working from home or from one's property, being one's own boss. It might take a little bit of pressure off, or very intense relationship with parent needs to be balanced with counter relationship with your own family, or with the nurturing parent on the other side, or some sort of personal enjoyment in your own life, in your personal life, which needs to manage that. So good luck for that, Taurus, and I'll see you in the next video.